Now you have talked.
Okay, here's the quick change in the agenda. Okay, from 11 to 11:30, we are going to have a discussion with our colleagues from UCID to get a better understanding about perhaps how they go about planning and assessing and programming. Because if you remember, right, we talked about here the goal of our Resilient Africa Network, Resilience Framework, is for you in your labs and your communities to identify those processes, those elements, right, that makes people, households, communities more capable of withstanding shocks and stresses, and then to be able to learn and to adapt and to recover more vigorously in the future. And the second part of that understanding, that knowledge, and that wisdom in terms of what's happening in the community is then to be able to do something with it. And what we're going to do with it is provide recommendations, evidence-based recommendations on two levels, right? The first level is to maybe perhaps provide evidence and support donors, implementing partners, our national governments, our local governments, that gives them information and data to improve the effectiveness of their planning process, their programming process. And that's where this discussion is the starting the process to better understand how we might be able to target those recommendations so that ultimately they have an impact. We have to know the process, we have to know who we are partnering with in order to shape that message so it results in action. Okay? So we're gonna start this dialogue, and though it's only gonna be for a half an hour, the reality is that we're going to continue to have this partnership with the missions, right? With our colleagues who are working together with us to be able to support development and to reduce risk and vulnerabilities. And then from 11:30 to 1 o'clock, we're going to have an innovation panel, because the other side of our recommendations are targeting our own labs and what we're going to be doing in terms of sourcing potential innovation and technology, of scaling up those innovation technologies, again targeting those development challenges that our resilience framework identifies as the most critical to be able to strengthen the resilience within our community. And therefore, you're going to hear, again, an hour and a half panel discussion to start you thinking about the types of innovation and the types of technologies that are out there today and what we might be incubating and sourcing, right, through our network in years 2 to 5. And then we're going to break for lunch at 1 o'clock, and we're going to come back at 2 o'clock. And from 2 to 3, as William had pointed out here, we as a network, we want to have a discussion about what resilience means for the network. Right? We're going to take a look at some definitions, but ultimately here we spent 2 days talking about resilience. Right? Now we want to hear from you. What do you think? What should be the definition for the RAM? So we're going to spend an hour on that to be able to get up that definition. And then from 3 to 4 o'clock, we're going to ask you, each lab, to break up and spend an hour to talk about the work plan. And we'll go over that a little bit more. But the work plan will be, for example, West Africa identified yesterday that their theme and things that they're going to be looking at might fall broadly under the umbrella of perhaps population growth and urbanization, and those challenges, those issues revolving around that. If that's their theme, if that's their focus, then how are we going to use those 3 objectives of the Resilient Africa Network in terms of establishing the framework, of being able to then identify innovation technology, of then using the massive online courses to bring together a more broad collective use of students and faculty globally to support us. Then we're going to want to sit down with the lab directors as a group and review each other's work plans to make sure that as a network that we're moving forward collectively, but also recognizing that each lab needs to be contextualized, needs to be driven by what's happening within your network. So that's a revised plan. We will write that up so you'll see it, but I just wanted to make sure that you see the progression of the day here. Right? So let me stop there. It's right at 11 o'clock, and then hand it over to Catherine, who is going to chair and moderate this panel in the discussion with USAID.
Thanks.